And well, for more on this, we are now being joined by Dov Zakim from Washington, D.C. He is a former Under-Secretary of Defense in George W. Bush administration and currently the Senior Advisor at Center for Strategic and International Studies. Welcome to World DNA, Mr. Zakim.
Thank you.
First up, Trump has said that the rare earth minerals deal would perhaps act as a backstop. After earlier dismissing any security guarantees for Ukraine, my question to you is that do you see Trump rather softening his tone on the Ukraine security guarantee, but still dodging the pleas that Europe and Ukraine have been seeking for?
I think it is a little bit softer. I think his interchange today with Sir Keir Starmer was softer in a way than it was with Macron earlier this week. You know, Zelensky is coming into town, President Zelensky, to sign an agreement that will create a U.S.-Ukrainian facility that would be the one that would go after the rare earths and minerals that Ukraine has. Now, they're going to be Americans on the ground. They just won't be soldiers. And so there already becomes a stake for Mr. Trump to protect the people that are there. The last thing he wants is for Americans to be killed in Ukraine. So if Mr. Starmer, Sir Keir rather, goes ahead and there is some kind of agreement, it certainly looks like Ukraine's going to lose its eastern oblasts. I mean, it's hard to imagine that it won't. And probably lose Crimea as well. If there's a deal, then the British have said they're going to put troops on the ground. Nobody else has said really the same. But if the British do it, if other countries do it, particularly Scandinavian countries that Mr. Trump seems to have a soft spot for as well, and there are Americans working on the ground, then maybe Mr. Putin will hesitate to try again. And if he does, there are ways for the United States not necessarily to put troops on the ground, but essentially, to borrow a phrase from Barack Obama, to lead from behind, provide communication support, whether it's from space or from aircraft, other kinds of support for those that might be on the ground. So, yes, I think Mr. Trump has opened the door a crack, not very much, no guarantees, but at least there's some hope that he will remain engaged to ensure that Ukraine, or what's left of it, remains independent.
Right, Dr. Zakim, of course, as you mentioned as well, there still remains a big question mark on the security guarantees. With Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky set to visit Trump as well, what do you think Ukraine will get in return for this rare earth minerals deal? Or do you think this is just a last-ditch effort perhaps to get U.S. back on the side of Ukraine? Because we have seen a pivot ever since Donald Trump has taken office.
I think it's closer to the latter. I don't think that Zelensky's going to get very much more out of Mr. Trump than Sir Keir Starmer did today. But again, if there's an agreement that involves American investment, and let's be honest, who's going to invest in Ukraine unless the Americans, my people, are involved? Because then there's some degree of guarantee of stability. So if that takes place, if the deal that's being reported actually is the deal, and there are a lot of details to be worked out, and oh, by the way, the Ukrainian parliament has to approve it. So we've got some steps to go. But at least Mr. Trump seems to be contemplating American involvement in Ukraine. Maybe not the way the Europeans would like in terms of troops, but involvement it is. And one thing about Mr. Trump, he's a businessman, he's into money, and if there's money to be made out of Ukraine and an investment is due, he's going to go ahead and do it.
Right. I just want to take that point further wherein you say that this is more like a business deal. Zelensky will be in the White House tomorrow, and we've been discussing that there's no certainty on the Ukraine security guarantees. Perhaps do you think that this visit by Zelensky to the White House is about Zelensky meeting Trump before the U.S. president meets Putin?
Well, look, Zelensky is in a very weak position. There's no question about it. And in a sense, he's coming to butter up Mr. Trump. But look, Trump's already softened his remarks. He won't apologize for calling Zelensky a dictator. He instead said, "Did I really say that?" When everybody knows he did. So that's his way of kind of softening the atmosphere. And if an agreement is signed, that's a win for Trump, no question about it, because it gives the United States access to some very important minerals and rare earths that Ukraine has. So he can call himself a winner right there. And then if Zelensky is pressured, or whatever term you want to use, into a deal, that's another win for Trump. And obviously, if Putin double crosses Trump, one thing about the president, whatever else you say about him, he does not like being double crossed. And if he is under the impression that Putin will not go again against Ukraine while he's president, while Trump is president, and Putin does that, you're going to see a very, very angry American president.
Right, Mr. Zakim, thank you so much for joining us on World DNA and sharing your insights with us on this.
Thank you.